Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me for another Alfred Hitchcock Presents review. Today I will be talking about Season 4, Episode 25, The Kind Waitress, starring Rick Jason and Olive Deering. And overall, I enjoyed this episode quite a bit. Like a lot of Alfred Hitchcock Presents episodes, there's certain elements of the plot and the characters you kind of just have to buy into. But if you do that, I thought this was a perfectly entertaining episode to watch. So we start with Alfred Hitchcock's introduction, and he says he's dining, although I really don't see him eating that much food, but whatever, you just got to kind of go with it. But he is drinking tea, I believe, which is significant to the episode. So we start with a waitress named Thelma. That's where we get our title, The Kind Waitress, from, although how kind she is debatable by the end of the episode. And she's waiting for a customer, an elderly lady named Miss Mannheim, I believe it is. And they start to talk, and it seems like this woman has kind of a fondness for Thelma. She says she's been very kind to her over the years, and she basically wants to leave her some money when she passes away. She hasn't been feeling that well and feels like she won't be around that much longer. She's coughing and things like that. So at first, Thelma's kind of taken aback by this and, says you don't have to do this. But the woman says she doesn't really have any relatives left and she wants to leave Thelma some money. So in the next scene, we are introduced to this other character named Arthur, and he's a musician. And he's playing some music when Thelma comes in, and she's all excited, and they're a couple. And Thelma tells Arthur about this money. And Arthur gets really excited. He says, now I'll be able to start a band and all this kind of stuff. How long do we have to wait? And Thelma says she doesn't know, but she doesn't think that the woman, Miss Mannheim, will last that much longer. And immediately, I don't trust this Arthur guy. He just seems like trouble based on his reactions to everything. So we go back to the restaurant, and this Miss Mannheim's moods are kind of changing. I'm guessing just because, she's elderly and not feeling well. It's totally understandable. But you can also see that this is starting to frustrate Thelma, and she's getting a little bit annoyed by all this. So Arthur and Thelma are talking again, and Arthur says we can't keep waiting. This woman could basically live forever. So he comes up with this plan where he wants to get rid of the elderly lady. Thelma, of course, doesn't want to do this. She's reluctant, but she has this weird, needy thing where she just kind of listens to Arthur because I guess she's afraid to lose him or something like that. So Arthur comes up with this suggestion that they're going to drug her somehow, and he researches to concoct this poison, and this guy becomes kind of like a mad scientist, which was kind of strange but kind of entertaining as well. And he comes up with this thing called anatine, I believe it is, and he says if you just keep putting in her a tea, eventually it will do her in. So at this point, we go back to this restaurant where Thelma works, and she does start drugging this tea from the elderly lady, but the elderly lady seems to be in a better mood again, and you can tell, or at least it appears, that Thelma feels kind of guilty about this. She's kind of torn on what to do. So we go into the future, I believe a couple months or so, and Arthur's frustrated because it turns out this elderly lady is still alive. Arthur doesn't understand why this poison or whatever isn't working. He says this old lady should be gone by now. Thelma says she can't do this anymore. Her conscience is getting to her. And Arthur says, fine, if you stop, I'll basically leave you. So Thelma practically begs him to stay and says that she'll do it. So Thelma's really needy of this guy, which I thought was a bit strange, but I guess it's kind of realistic as well in some cases. So now we go to a scene where Miss Mannheim's in bed. It seems like Thelma's now like her caregiver or something at her home because she's there. And eventually they get in an argument because Thelma forgot to give her milk for her tea. And the elderly lady gets a bit, out of sorts, a bit crabby. She says it's a habit she can't break. And Thelma just kind of out of nowhere completely snaps. Now, I get she's been frustrated, but this did seem a little bit like plot service and a little bit exaggerated. I mean, they've shown Thelma as kind of a torn character up to this point, and all of a sudden she just goes nuts. I guess you just got to kind of go there. I guess it could happen. No. I just didn't think the episode showed enough of Thelma in this kind of state for this to totally work, but I guess it's fine. So Thelma goes completely crazy and she just basically kills this elderly woman. She chokes her. So we go to the next scene and there's an investigation and it's deduced that the lady choked, which is exactly what happened. Arthur's also missing because of course he is. This guy was really not a very nice character in this episode. So Thelma's a wreck. She doesn't do a very good job at trying to cover for herself. She basically pretty much admits that she did this. And then I kept wondering where's the twist to the episode. And in a twist, she hears a doctor talking at the end, and he explains that this anatine stuff in small doses can keep someone alive. This is the thing that Thelma and Arthur were giving to Miss Mannheim, but they weren't giving her a strong enough dose to kill her. Instead, they were keeping her alive, which is what got them into all this trouble. So a pretty decent twist, which I didn't see coming, and which made sense. I just thought some of the characterizations in this episode were a little exaggerated to serve the plot, but others might find it to their satisfaction, and if you just kind of go with it, I thought The Kind Waitress was an entertaining episode, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. A solid episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents to watch at least once. As always, thanks for watching.